The Wilmington Board of Selectmen meeting of Monday, January 26, 2015 to order at 7:13. All members are present, and I do apologize that we're running a couple minutes late. At this time, I'd like to start with the transmitting of the Treasury warrants 30, 30A, 31, 31A. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion been made and seconded. Do we have a second, I should say? Okay. All those in favor?
Yes.
Unanimous, thank you. Moving on to the approval of the minutes for September 8th, 2014, November 10th, 2014, and November 24th, 2014. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Yes.
Motion's been seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Moving on to our first appointment, which is the official introduction of the Planning and Conservation Director, Miss Valerie Gingrich. Hi, Valerie, how are you? I'd like to have a seat at the table. Thank you very much for being here this evening. Apologize that we're running a few minutes late. I do realize it's inclement weather, so we do appreciate you being here this evening.
Absolutely.
I'm going to turn it over to the manager to give the board a reintroduction. Our last meeting, we received a full memo that had your full career history, and you're welcome officially from a press standpoint to the town of Wilmington. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeff, and then I'm going to open it up to the board.
Thank you. So Valerie's been on board since the 12th, really hit the ground running. There's a number of projects she's been involved in, has participated in our the most recent meeting of the Entile Committee. Just today, I believe it was, there was a community development meeting with the various departments that she was also involved in. Will be attending her first planning board meeting shortly. As you know, there's some significant cases before the planning board. So she's, really integrated into the system at this point, getting to know her staff, taking a look at situations, which I think is certainly helpful for us. Everybody, coming in from perspective of an outsider, the new person, I think has some value in that they can take a fresh look at the way procedures are happening, and I think that's going to be one of the things she'll be doing in the near term here within the Planning and Conservation Office. So she's glad to see that we've been able to bring her on board. I think she offers a lot of talent and leadership to the Planning and Conservation.
Great, thank you. So Valerie, not to put you on the spot, but certainly going to turn the mic over to you first if you want to make any comments to the board, and then what we'll do is we'll go from left to right and speak to you individually.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Pleasure to meet you all. I am really enjoying my time so far. I've jumped right in, getting to know the staff, getting to know the bylaws, taking a look at those, and I think there's some real opportunity for upgrades and enhancements to the bylaws, and some efficiencies to the way we do things here in Town Hall. And everybody here in Town Hall is great, and I'm excited to work with them, and we're going to make a really great team. I'm happy to answer any questions from you guys.
Thank you very much. I'm going to start to my left with Selectman Shampoo.
Yeah, no specific questions, just welcome. It's very great to meet you. Jeff had given us a list of your credentials when upon hiring you, and very impressive. So we're delighted to have your expertise at our fingertips now. So thank you for bringing them here and choosing Wilmington, as it were. We're looking forward to getting to know you and looking forward to seeing the fruits of your labor for all of our benefit. And over the course of the next several months, I'm sure we'll have opportunity to work directly. But for now, just want to say welcome aboard.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, once again, I know it's going to be said again and again. Just obviously, it's a nice meet and greet. And I did read that you have an outstanding resume, credentials, and your predecessor, Carol, did a great job. In fact, as a former member of the planning board back in the 80s, before serving on the board, I served with Carol. She was a member of the planning board back then, and as time went on, she became the director. So, Carol did a pretty good job, I thought, and obviously, I see no reason why you can't do as well as her, if not. So once again, congratulations and welcome to the town of Wilmington.
Thank you.
Yep. Valerie, welcome to Wilmington, and obviously we're biased up here, but I don't think you could have picked a better community to go to work for. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy working here, and I hope, and I know that we're going to get a lot of good information out of you, and thank you for it's not all good. You're gonna come into some adversity once in a while, but you couldn't have picked a better town to work in. And welcome aboard.
Just welcome to Wilmington. I don't think I could say it any better than it's already been said. It's a pleasure to meet you.
I just want to also welcome you as well. We had the pleasure of meeting at the Yentile Development Committee meeting, and obviously planning and conservation is a very wide range of topics. It certainly represents growth and opportunity for the town, as well as maintaining our existing infrastructure at the state, local, and federal level. So, yeah, you certainly have a full challenge ahead of you, which I know that you will certainly more than rise to the occasion with your impressive resume history. So, thank you very much for choosing Wilmington. We're very lucky to have you, and hopefully over time you will. It'll just validate your decision, and we're on to wonderful things in the future. So thank you once again for being here tonight and being here with the inclement weather, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Great,
Good luck.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Drive safely tonight.
Thanks, you too.
Moving on to communications.
Yes, under communications, the first item we have is the letter that I sent out to Kimberly Bose, the Secretary of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and essentially that correspondence serves to identify the town's major concerns about the Kinder Morgan pipeline, noting the proximity to the well fields, the fact that the town has already lost 5 wells due to contamination, the proximity of the Herndon Tavern and the historic resources we have there, as well as the proximity to the neighborhoods over off of Route 62. Letter from the Water and Sewer Department, the commissioners, they also expressed similar concerns focused predominantly on the potential impacts to the Browns Crossing and the Salem Street wells. This letter, again, was directed to FERC.
If I may, Madam Chair?
Yes.
I would like just to take a very brief second, just to compliment you, Jeff, on the wording of the letter that you wrote to Ms. Bose at Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. We've all been a part of the meetings and the discussions at both here at the Board of Selectmen as well as various other assemblies of residents. And Jeff, you did a very great job, in my opinion, of articulating all of the concerns that we had with regards to the current forecasted route of this pipeline. So I didn't want to just let it slide by in communications. I really wanted to compliment you for the breadth and the comprehensiveness of this letter. And I'm hopeful that it'll garner the kind of response from both FERC as well as our legislative delegations to get involved in this project for us. Thank you.
Thank you. We have correspondence from Paul Aluni, our town engineer. This is directed to Lori Ferry from the consulting company AECOM, project manager. They're working on behalf of Kinder Morgan. They had sent out a request looking for specific information about the location of their proposed pipeline. Just to highlight some of the elements here, Paul writes, letter was received by various town departments requesting a review of records relative to the land areas impacted by Kinder Morgan, proposal for a natural gas transmission pipeline through Wilmington. The letter specifically requests that the town to identify sensitive environmental areas within 0.25 miles of the proposed gas pipeline. The list includes U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, state municipal designated aquifers, state or municipal designated aquifer protection areas, surface water, that provides public drinking water supplies, state or municipal designated surface water protection areas, any known existing or proposed public or private drinking water wells, reservoirs, or springs in or within 300 feet of the proposed alignment, open space / natural areas, locally significant roads, scenic areas or rivers, schools, parks, ball fields, and trails. And I won't go through the whole letter in its entirety, but he does note here the thought that the areas listed in your letter are unknown to Kinder Morgan is troublesome, particularly because a proposed route has already been presented to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission as part of their pre-filing process. However, we have reviewed the proposed pipeline in the corridor with respect to the sensitive environmental areas listed in the letter. Please refer to the enclosed map. The map illustrates the proposed route along with all the pertinent parcel information, town landmarks, resource areas, wellhead protection areas, Zone 1 and Zone 2, roadways, trails, and conservation-controlled land that are within the requested .5 corridor. And he goes on to highlight some of the same information that was referenced in the previous correspondence about the sensitive areas. Next is correspondence from me to the board, just providing an update on the status of Kinder Morgan. I'll just highlight this. Since the board's meeting on January 12th, Paula Looney, Town Engineer, Winifred McGowan, Assistant Director of Planning and Conservation, and I attended the forum regarding the Kinder Morgan Pipeline project sponsored by the Wilmington Pipeline Awareness on January 15th. The speakers encouraged residents to work collectively with others affected communities and keep this issue in the front of the town's legislative, state and federal legislative delegation. In addition to submitting the correspondence to FERC and the town's legislative delegation opposing the proposed pipeline route, an email was sent to Beverly Woods, Executive Director of the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments, advising her that the Board of Selectmen voted formally to join the Northeast Gas Pipeline Coalition. Ms. Woods is assisting the coalition in coordinating their efforts. The next meeting of the coalition was scheduled for Monday the 19th, has been postponed until Monday the 26th in Dracut. The postponement was intended to give members an opportunity to review the Massachusetts low gas demand analysis prepared by the consulting firm Synapse. Bill Holt will be representing the town. Then I just note some information that is contained within that analysis. It indicates that they looked at 8 different scenarios to project energy needs for Massachusetts through 2030. The report concludes that the demand for natural gas exceeds the capacity under all scenarios, and that there are 3 scenarios of particular note. One is a scenario in which takes into account all the existing planned pipeline capacity and projects it out to 2013. The second scenario, or actually scenario 5, is the low energy demand scenario, takes into account all existing and planned pipeline capacity, plus incorporating alternative measures such as renewable energy, wind, chip technologies, converted hydroelectric, and improvements on efficiency of residential, commercial, and industrial heating systems. And then the third scenario of note, which is actually scenario 8, contemplates the supplementing of electrical lines proposed from Canada, Quebec in particular. Scenario 5, similar to scenario 5, with additional electrical transmission lines supplying electricity to the area from Canada. And it notes in each of these scenarios, again, there's varying degrees of demand exceeding supply, but according to the study, the situation is similar, just a matter of degrees. It's also noteworthy that the Spectra Energy project, which appears to be a competing project, proposes to provide up to 1 billion CFU per day by expanding their existing pipeline corridor in Massachusetts. The study contains a number of caveats. One critical assumption has been, which has drawn some criticism, is that the study anticipates that we will, or the electric sector will continue to wean itself off of oil, which may or may not happen. In addition to these activities or events, the town will be present at the Kinder Morgan Open House on February 17th. I've also submitted a separate request to meet with representatives from Kinder Morgan, and am awaiting a response. I've offered a couple of dates. This correspondence, a memorandum from me to the board, providing an update on the status of the Yentile Farm development proposal. This correspondence serves to update the board regarding the progress with the planned recreational facility at the former Yentile Farm. At their October meeting, the Yentile Farm Development Committee recommended that I terminate the contract with Waterfield Design and solicit for a new design firm specializing in engineering of athletic and recreation spaces. The decision to terminate Waterfield was a matter of refining the direction of the project and refocusing on different components in the design, and as a result of a change in personnel at their firm which did not quite meet the town's needs. Due to the more technical approach to design going forward, staff handled the solicitation of the new engineering firm and presented their recommendations to the committee. So there was a request for proposal that was prepared, went out for solicitation. Ultimately, there were 4 firms that were considered: Green International with Stantec and GEI, Niche Engineering, Weston and Sampson, and CDM. Interviews were conducted. Those involved in the interview process were Jamie McGaldy, Paul Aluni, and Kendra Amaral. And ultimately, the recommendation that they presented to the Yentile Committee was Green International. As you know, we've had a long relationship with Green in terms of a number of projects, including the traffic light at Route 38 and Richmond Street, goes way back. They came in and presented some preliminary information on the prospect of improvements to Route 38 from 62 to the Woburn line. And they're also the engineering firm that is involved in the design of the Glen Road, Wildwood Street traffic signals. There was some discussion at the meeting with the Yentile Farm Committee, and they ultimately agreed that the Green International would be the firm to go with. I've signed a contract with Green, and they're prepared to move forward on the design. Just by way of note, total design service fees through construction bid are $241,823. They're also proposing a fee for an optional large-scale town presentation, which would be a little over $7,600. Total available budget for these design services is $268,000. Their construction administration services were proposed at $89,307. We will review these fees later in the project timeline and expect to further negotiate the design as it's further developed. The committee will be meeting again in February to kick off the next phase of design. In the meantime, a subcommittee of the Yentile Farm Committee has formed and will be conducting the first meeting February 9th to develop and launch the private funding effort for the project. Construction costs are estimated to be $4.5 million based upon the concept design. The concept design includes a lighted multi-purpose artificial turf, field, basketball, and street hockey courts, a playground, central green, picnic and game areas, and on-site parking.
Madam Chair, just want to ask Jeff a quick question. Did we spend any monies with Waterfield? You terminated the contract. Did we give them any monies thus far?
Yeah, we paid them for the services that they provided. In the end, they're an architectural firm, and given the fact that we received the services that we were looking for from them, but this, at this stage of the project, this is, in our estimation, really more of an engineering project than it is an architectural project, so that was the basis for the change.
How much money did we give them so far? How much we owe them, or how much do we?
Well, we've paid them in full, and I will have to get back to you, and I don't have it offhand.
All right.
Next, under correspondence, is Verizon Fios, talking about some program changes here. Customers will be, Verizon Fios customers will be assessed a Fios TV broadcast fee of $1.99 per month. Monthly fee helps cover a portion of the customers, or the cost currently charged by local programming providers to Verizon for basic tier and programming channels. And then they go on and list a series of other fees for various, or changes in fees for various programs that are offered on their package.
Okay, so board to consider, please.
Under Board to Consider, I would recommend that the Board appoint Paul Aluni as a fence viewer. You may recall that a few years ago, there were two fence viewers appointed, one being Al Spalding, the building inspector, the other being Anthony Pronsky, the previous town engineer. With Mr. Pronsky's departure, we've just had the one, so I don't anticipate anything immediately before them, but just to have the second individual, I would recommend the board appoint Paul Aluni.
Anyone like to make a motion to that effect?
I'll move to approve Paul Aluni as the second fence viewer.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Public comments. Mr. McDonald, I will not be recognizing you this evening.
Why is that?
Because over the past 3 meetings...
You don't want me to question the
No.
Gentile Farm,
No.
which you're also a chairman of?
Correct.
And
Over
you
the past 3 meetings, I have given you,
$58,000 and
Excuse
there's
me.
contamination on the project, possibly?
once again, I'm going...
I would like to be
Over the
recognized.
past 3 meetings, I have given you the
You don't want
opportunity
be
to
called-
speak,
You don't want to be called to the
and you
carpet?
have illustrated and demonstrated a progressive decline to respect the public process.
You need to respect the
Therefore,
taxpayers of Wilmington.
I do very much so.
For you to authorize a contract when there's a possibility of contamination
Mr.
on that
McDonald, I'm
project.
going to rule you out of
should be
order.
responsible.
I have asked you to
should be a
please
chairman
not
of the Board of
speak.
Selectmen and also the chairman
Mr.
of a
McDonald,
committee
please
that
refrain from
authorizes
speaking.
contracts.
Once
I'm telling
again,
you right
please
now,
refrain from speaking.
I'm utilizing my free
Mr.
speech
McDonald,
right.
please
And
withdraw
I'm
from the meeting.
going to the cop right now.
Mr. McDonald, please withdraw from the meeting.
For the other contractor,
Chief Pagonis, please remove this gentleman from the meeting. Thank you.
so that you're not exposed to the people, the taxpayers, that he's being hijacked.
Any other public comments? Hearing none. Okay, new business and committee reports. Starting to my right.
Nothing here, Madam Chair.
Nothing here, just hope everybody has a safe next few days, and I know we're going to recognize the police chief and all, and
We are going to do that at the next
Okay,
meeting, based
okay.
on the fact that we wanted to have as many members
Right,
of the
I saw
department
that.
present, and also give the family members an opportunity, and based on tonight's weather, we felt that it was best to postpone to give,
another phenomenal decision by you, Madam Chair.
thank you.
I'm good, Madam Chair. I heard Lou said we're going to have enough tough couple of days. Lou, I'm going to be plowing my restaurant. You want to help me out, pal? I'm shut down, so I could use a little help. Nice.
For a meatball sub.
Oh, you're cheap, man. Great. I thought he was going to ask for steak and cheese. Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I can't let it just slide by. I think it's worth commenting that the entire process about the Gentile Farm project has been completely transparent and open to the public. All information is available for the asking. Because Jeff didn't have the number at his fingertips doesn't mean that there's any intent or desire to keep that information from the public. So I commend you, Madam Chair, for your work on the Intel Committee, as well as your work with us as Chairwoman. And may I also say that I was at the Mass Municipal Association meeting over the course of the weekend, and there's ample stuff from that, but I'm not going to report on that this evening. I'll save it for our next gathering because of the snow, and simply ask everyone to be patient and cautious out there over the course of the next 24 hours.
Thank you. Obviously, it was an unfortunate chain of events. I don't want to belabor the point, but this project is on track, and it's within the budget. All the information is available at Town Hall. All of our meetings are public, and all the minutes are available. So there'll be ample opportunity for people to ask questions. It's been in the press, and there's been ample coverage in public forums. So I feel very confident where this committee sits. I feel confident in the manager's role with his leadership team to work with this project, and I think that the merits of the project speak for themselves. We still have a lot of work to do, and we still have a lot of ground to cover, and we will get it done. So, thank you. Moving on to important dates. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just before I get to that, if I could just make a couple of announcements. One is just wanted to note that at the Mass Municipal Annual Meeting, the town of Wilmington was recognized as one of 9 recipients of excellence in loss control. The MIA, which is the Mass Interlocal Insurance Association, is the association that we have our insurance with, all the insurances, everything from property casualty to auto, public liability. And each year, the MIA recognizes communities from across the Commonwealth, and they have approximately 200 communities that are involved in their program. So we were fortunate this year to be recognized for our efforts in terms of loss control, both in terms of taking advantage of the resources that they provide to prevent losses, whether it be training, putting different measures in place, and also in terms of our loss records. So it was a real compliment to the safety committee that meets on a monthly basis, chaired by Jamie McGaldy, who's our operations manager at the DPW, all the members of the committee, and ultimately the employees who execute the policies that we put out. So I just wanted to make folks aware of that.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. So you said over 200 communities were part of that, and we came in 9th? There was
Well, we were one of
9?
7 that,
One of
9 that were recognized for our loss control efforts, yeah. So it's a pretty limited group of communities that
Very good.
are recognized.
Congratulations. That's good stuff.
Also, just wanted to note, and this information has been out in the public, but just to reemphasize, town offices will be closed tomorrow due to the storm. There was a report in the Lowell Sun earlier today that the middle school would be opened as a shelter. That is not the case. We are not, at this time, planning to open the middle school as a shelter. We did have a meeting this afternoon with the various departments involved in storm preparedness. Gary Donovan, who is the emergency management point person for the town, has indicated that MEMA is establishing a series of regional shelters. We have not received information as to the specific location in our area, but certainly as soon as that information is made available, we will get that out to the public. The message that's being sent out is that people should stay in their homes. The governor, as many of you know, declared a state of emergency for travel after midnight, so it's certainly best that people remain home to the extent that they can. If there are issues, if people have any concerns with regard to safety, or they should call the non-emergency number at the Public Safety Building, 978-658 5071, that, again, the non-emergency number unless it's a true emergency. Also, just to note, trash and recycling has been canceled for tomorrow. Again, due to the expected large amount of snow, our trash and recycling contractors contacted us earlier in the day, and I think it's appropriate that that collection not take place. It's going to be challenging, certainly with the snow removal. As a result of that, all the collection will be moved back a day, just as if it was a holiday, so the Tuesday collection would take place Wednesday, Thursday, and so on. And then, and I guess that's it.
Important dates.
Important dates, Harndon Tavern Open House on February 1st, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Next Board of Selectmen's meeting is the meeting of the 2nd. I will be presenting the town's annual budget message. February 3rd is the beginning of the Finance Committee meetings. First meeting, again, that's here, room 9, 7 p.m. We'll be doing the budget overview, revenues and general government. February 4th is the T-ball rookies registration. That begins on that date, grades K and 1. Next meeting of the Finance Committee is scheduled for February 5th. That, again, will be in room 9, 7 p.m. Planning and Conservation, Building Inspector, and Board of Appeals, Board of Health will be the topics that evening. February 6th is the last day to submit petition warrant articles for inclusion in the warrant for May. February 9th, next Board of Selectmen's meeting following the budget presentation. That meeting is here at 7 p.m. And then February 10th, Finance Committee meeting, again, room 9, 7 p.m., Department of Public Works and Public Buildings.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Yep.